So tonight we're going to talk about Otos 90-day tinnitus tune-out program. And this is what you're going to learn this evening. Before I talk about the program, I'm going to put an end to the myth that is you just have to learn to live with tinnitus, which is not true. I'm going to explain to you why we notice tinnitus and how we can stop noticing it. I'm going to talk about how it feels once you have tuned out tinnitus, what you can expect at the end of the 90 days. And then I'm going to talk about some clinically proven methods that we use in the 90-day program. So before I get started, just a very brief message. We're a team of doctors, audiologists, ENTs, tinnitus experts, and we've helped over 70,000 people tune out tinnitus. And that's reflected by the excellent reviews we get for our programs. Okay. I want to do a virtual show of hands. So if you've been told something similar to this by your doctor, by an audiologist, there's nothing you can do for tinnitus, or you just need to learn to live with tinnitus, let me know in the chat. Got a few people raising their hands. Wow. A lot of people raising their hands. I expect nearly everyone here has been told something like this, something along these lines. Graham was just told to forget it. If only if it was that simple. I'm here to give you a different perspective. This is not true. There is something you can do for tinnitus. And tonight, I'm going to tell you what you can do to get you back to the point where your tinnitus is no longer having an impact on your life. You can get the life back you had before your tinnitus started. And this became apparent to me when my tinnitus, so I've had tinnitus for many years, but it got worse when I was a doctor in the Royal Air Force, about 4 years ago now. And my tinnitus, thankfully, was fairly mild, had an impact on my sleep. But it wasn't until I started speaking to men and women in the military that I realized how big of an impact tinnitus can have. I saw that tinnitus was ruining these people's lives, and I saw how difficult it was for them to get access to help. And that's what prompted me to start looking into this. And that's actually why I founded Otto. Okay, next question. Pop it in the chat. How did it feel when your tinnitus first started? What was the emotion that you felt? So for me, it was fear. I felt scared. I felt anxious. Panic, Peter felt. Desperation, Mark. Tina felt worried. Benjamin, suicidal. I'm sorry to hear that. Derek felt fear. Lucy felt devastated, like her life was over. Egbert felt panic. There's a pattern here. All of these emotions are negative emotions. And that's normal. It's normal for tinnitus to make us feel these things. And if you fast forward to now, how do you feel about your tinnitus now? It's probably still those feelings, or it might be frustration, anger, sadness, all these horrible negative emotions. And actually the reason we notice our tinnitus is because tinnitus makes us feel bad. Let me explain how that works. So you notice your tinnitus. Let's say you wake up first thing in the morning. And I imagine that the majority of you, the first thing you do when you wake up is scan, is my tinnitus there? The first thought that comes into your head will be, is my tinnitus there? Has it gone away? And no, it hasn't. And it makes you feel bad. It makes you feel one of these emotions. Because it makes you feel bad, your brain registers the sound as a threat. Your brain registers the sound as something it needs to look out for. So, as a protective mechanism, the brain needs to keep checking for that threat. Is my tinnitus there? Is my tinnitus there? Wake up in the morning, is my tinnitus there? You go into a quiet room, is my tinnitus there? You stop noticing it for 20, 30 minutes, and then you suddenly think, oh, is my tinnitus there? I've not been thinking about it. And then, of course, it is there. Makes you feel bad, brings that emotion back again. That reinforces to your brain that it's a threat, and you get stuck in this cycle. It's a vicious cycle. Okay? So what we need to do is we need to interrupt this cycle. And tuning out tinnitus will happen when you change your brain's automatic reaction to the sound you hear. Guys, I just want to make something clear here. I'm not just saying, well, you just need to stop reacting to your tinnitus. It's not as simple as that. This is an automatic learned reaction that happens in your brain. And this is something that you need to learn to change. Okay. So if we change the brain's automatic reaction to tinnitus, it will no longer make us feel bad. The brain will no longer think the sound is a threat. It will no longer need to keep checking for the threat. And three things are going to happen. Number one, you stop noticing the tinnitus. You stop hearing it. It's background noise. Number two, it doesn't bother you anymore. Think of all those emotions that we heard earlier. Panic, fear, terrified, worried, desperation, sadness, all those horrible things. It doesn't make us feel those things anymore. Number three, the volume is perceived, that you perceive the volume to be quieter. And the reason this works is because, or how this works is, you probably all noticed that if you're stressed, tired, angry, frustrated, if you're feeling bad, your tinnitus seems louder. Same happens to me. If I've had a stressful day at work, my tinnitus seems louder. And the inverse is true. If your tinnitus doesn't bother you, if you're not stressed about it and you're not noticing it, the volume will seem quieter as well. So if we interrupt this cycle, as discussed, we can get to the point where these things in time happen. Okay, this is not an overnight thing. This is a gradual process, but the end goal is that these three things will happen. Okay. And if these three things happen, you get your life back. You go back to the life you had before your tinnitus started. Your tinnitus will still be there, but it's no longer a problem. You don't notice it. You don't think about it. If I use my own tinnitus as an example here, I probably notice my tinnitus 4 or 5 times a week on average. In the early days, when I was struggling with it, every single night, it would stop me from going to sleep. Fast forward 3 or 4 years, it's no longer a problem for me. Even though I have tinnitus, I have the same life I had before my tinnitus was loud, got louder. Okay. So you're probably thinking, well, how? How on earth is this possible? Is this realistic for me? Can this be done? My tinnitus is too loud. My tinnitus changes too much. This won't work for me. Well, actually, it does. And I'll explain how in a second. But before I do, I want to just, for those of you that think my tinnitus is too loud, how could I possibly stop ignoring it? Well, it is possible. Your brain has done this thousands of times before in your life with other stimuli. Think of the last time you went on a flight. You haven't been on a flight recently. Think of the last time you went on a long car journey. You sat in your seat, put your seatbelt on, give you the safety instructions, and the engine turns on. That becomes very noticeable, the sound. It's actually quite loud. Okay, and you notice it and you think, oh, the engine's turning on. Then the aircraft taxis out onto the runway, accelerates, and the engines get even louder as you're taking off. You're very aware of the sound of the flight when you're taking off and when you're taxiing onto the runway. But 5-10 minutes into the flight, you forget about it. You stop noticing the sound that you hear. You can go back to doing what you're doing, reading, listening to music, watching a film, sleeping. You can sleep. Even though there's that loud sound outside, you can sleep and it's not a problem. Well, some people perhaps can't. It depends if you're scared of flying, but most people will be able to sleep on an airplane. And if you become aware of the sound of the engines mid-flight, you can very quickly go back to what you were doing and forget about it. So that's how it feels. Another example would be if you're wearing glasses right now, you're probably not aware that your glasses are on your face. You're not aware of the sensation of them being there. However, I've just pointed it out. Because I pointed it out, you probably did become aware of them. But it wasn't a problem for you. It didn't make you feel bad. And you can come back to watching this webinar and forget about them pretty quickly. So your brain has already done this thousands of times before. We just need to do this with your tinnitus. And you're probably thinking, well, how is that possible? And yes, it is possible. Just need a bit of help. So the most effective way to treat tinnitus is with something called cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT for short. Cognitive behavioural therapy, or CBT, works on the basis that how we think determines how we feel and how we behave. So if we change how we think about our tinnitus, it will change how we feel about our tinnitus. And remember this, we change how we feel about our tinnitus, we stop noticing it. Okay, so we need to change these, first understand these underlying thoughts and beliefs that we have about our tinnitus, and then change these thoughts. And if we change our thoughts, it will change the beliefs. And what this looks like in practice would be first understanding the thoughts and the beliefs that you have about your tinnitus, isolating them and working out what they are, and then practicing regularly in order to change this reaction, to change these thoughts you're having. And that's where Otos comes in. That's how we can help. Just a bit of research. So CBT is proven to be the most effective way to treat tinnitus. This was a really big study, one of the biggest studies actually looking at this, and it found that, and it combined the results of lots of smaller studies. So there's a lot of data here they looked at, and they found that CBT is an effective therapy for tinnitus. It's effective. And as such, if you look at the all of the treatments, the Tinnitus UK's UK charity, helps people with tinnitus, and they have a section on their website that recommends treatments with a traffic light system: green, amber, red. Green is effective, yellow is limited evidence, not really effective, red is not effective. And the only treatment on there that's green is cognitive behavioral therapy. So this stuff works, guys. Okay, just a bit of our research. So we looked at people that have had just 1 month of CBT delivered by a program, and they found that there was a 23% reduction in their tinnitus. And this isn't 23% of people had a reduction. This was for the average person. There was a 23% reduction in the awareness and the volume of their tinnitus. So the average person. So if you'd like your tinnitus to go down by a quarter, that's on average what will happen. The average person had 40% better with 40% better sleep if they were struggling with sleep. The average person had a 40% reduction in stress and a 33% boost in focus. So all those things the common impacts that tinnitus has, CBT delivered by Otos is going to help those things. And this study was 179 people. So guys, if anyone has any questions, please do put those questions into the Q&A. If it's relevant, I will stop and answer. If it's not, I will come back. There'll be a section for Q&A at the end. So just click on the little Q&A button. If you do have any questions, pop them there. Okay, so if you're ready to start CBT, if you want to give CBT a try, if you want to do something about your tinnitus, I'm going to tell you now about the 90-day tinnitus tune-out program. And this will allow you to take control of your tinnitus using cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, in 3 months. So what does this include? You're going to get a personalized plan, custom built, and it's going to be matched to your type of tinnitus. So CBT is effective for all types of tinnitus, but we've personalized this program based on the assessment you take right at the beginning. We personalize the program so the content that you're being delivered works for you. Whether you're in the early stages of tinnitus, whether you've had tinnitus for 20 years, if you struggle with sleep, if you don't struggle with sleep, if you struggle with focus, we'll personalize this. This is all personalized, and this is worth £99. Okay. So Lucy, thanks for that question. I will come back to that at the end. That's a really good question. So the next thing you get is unlimited coaching. This means you guys are going to get rapid results with minimal effort, all with the help of one of our tinnitus specialists. So you'll be working, you can access anytime, to send a message through the app throughout the 3 months. If you have any questions about your tinnitus or guidance about the program, you'll be able to have access to a tinnitus specialist audiologist who's got a lot of experience with tinnitus. And over the 3 months, this is worth £99. You'll get a one-off consultation with this tinnitus specialist audiologist, okay, at the beginning, if you wish. And this is to provide some guidance on what to focus on, what to work on, how to use the program, how to make the most out of it, right at the start. So this person also has tinnitus themselves. So you'd have a consultation with someone called Dr. Gladys Sander. And for those of you that are aware of Gladys or have seen Gladys before, Gladys is a tinnitus specialist audiologist, works at one of the top private clinics in London. She's one of the UK's top experts, okay? And this is worth £69. And Gladys has tinnitus as well. You'll also get full access to the Otos app. So all our clinically proven CBT, there's some physical therapy in there. There's a sleep course for those of you struggling with sleep. And of course, over 100 specially recorded sounds as well. This is worth £29 over the 3 months. Finally, you'll get access to all of our webinars on demand. So we've probably got 30, 40 webinars now. We've run these weekly since earlier this year. And we do these every week. You'll get the latest news on tinnitus cures, latest on tinnitus research, treatment, how to manage tinnitus, and we update these weekly. For the 3 months, this is worth £29. You'll be able to go through all this content so you can make the most out of your tinnitus management experience, okay? So all of this together is worth £325, and if you're in the US, that's worth $403. But we wanted to make this as accessible as possible. So I'm really excited to offer this to you all tonight for £107.99 for the 3 month period, which is a 77% discount, which is great value. You're getting a lot of value in there over the 3 months, okay, which I'm really excited about. So that's worth $139 if you're in the US. You can try this today completely free, risk-free, in fact. We currently offer a 7-day free trial. If you do want to sign up, I'm going to put a link in the chat in a second. But before I do, before I go on to the questions, I'm going to tell you about our risk-free guarantee. So not only do we make it free to try, so you can try it for 7 days for free, you'll also get a guaranteed success money-back guarantee. So if by the end you've not progressed by at least one tinnitus stage, there's 4 stages of tinnitus, stage 1 being the worst, stage 4 being, remember those 3 things that I said? You don't notice your tinnitus, it doesn't bother you, and it's quieter. Those 4 stages measure the extent of that. If you've not progressed by at least one stage by the end, we'll refund you the purchase cost, okay? So before I go on to the prize draw, I'm going to give you guys a link that you can use to sign up, and then I'm going to go on to the questions. Bear with me a second. There's this link on. Okay, so if you have already signed up to the app, I'm just going to put this link in the chat. If you want to sign up, you can click on that link. If you've already signed up to the app and you've already got an account with the app, use the same email that you've used to create an account with the app. And then it will link the account. But if you get stuck with that, you can always send us a message. Okay, let's go on to questions. So what questions do we have? Okay, question from Tom. So Tom's had tinnitus for years and was able to manage it, and it's recently gotten worse and it's affecting sleep. This is really common, Tom. Many people have tinnitus. For me, for example, this is what happened to me. Very similar thing. I struggle with sleep. No, established tinnitus isn't harder to overcome. It's not harder to tune it out. The process would be the same. And the fact is, it sounds like you've kind of done it before already. You've tuned it out before already. So doing it again shouldn't be a problem for you. The process would be the same. So question here, I'm in Australia, is that okay? Of course. This is available to anyone in the world. You might have to be flexible with times when booking your consultation with Gladys, but otherwise, provided you don't mind waiting a few hours for a response for the chat, that won't be a problem. Okay, let's go on to, so question from Lucy. How soon after you've developed tinnitus does it help? My tinnitus has only been constant and very loud for 2 weeks. So permanent tinnitus, Lucy, is defined as tinnitus that stays with you for longer than 3 months. So temporary tinnitus would be tinnitus that lasts less than 3 months. Now, first thing I would recommend is this, of course, this isn't medical advice. So please do speak to your doctor and get seen by your doctor if you haven't already. However, if you're struggling and tinnitus is having a big impact, then these techniques, this program is going to help you from the outset. If you start now and start getting on top of things now, your tinnitus could go away, in which case, great, you don't need to worry about it. But if it doesn't go away, you're then in a position where you're starting to get on top of things sooner. So, even if your tinnitus goes away, I definitely recommend getting started with this, because you can try it for 7 days, and if you think if you find the first 7 days helpful and your tinnitus goes away at that point, then you won't need to use it again at that point. Okay, question from Bruce. So I have cervical tinnitus. Will the 9-day program help, or is a neck adjustment need to be more effective? So again, Bruce, not medical advice. Yes, the 90-day program will help for any type of tinnitus. You could have tinnitus in one ear, both ears. You could have high pitched, low frequency. You could have tinnitus that changes, somatic tinnitus. Any kind of tinnitus, this will be beneficial for. And the reason that is because the process is the same. Tuning out tinnitus will occur regardless of what type of tinnitus is. So yes, this will definitely help. As to whether the neck adjustment will be more effective, that's something you probably need to speak to your ENT about. Question from Peter. What do I know about tinnitus MRIs and if they can make tinnitus worse? So look, MRIs are loud, but they will provide you with adequate hearing protection. They have to. It's it's a legal requirement for them to remain safe. For an MRI machine to be safe, they will provide you with adequate legal protection. So your MRI won't make your tinnitus worse. There's no evidence to show that if you have adequate hearing protection, the MRI makes the tinnitus worse. Question here from Mark. In Hungary, we use a sound defender like a hearing aid, little like your apps for noise. It's used elsewhere. Is this used elsewhere? So Mark, what you're talking about there is sound therapy effective for tinnitus? Or is using a sound in the long term effective for tinnitus? And there's not really much evidence to show that that's effective. It can certainly be beneficial. It can distract you from the sound, but it's not going to change the volume of your tinnitus in the long term. So, by all means, use sound therapy. Sound therapy can be so helpful. It can be distracting, but it's not going to help you tune it out. Okay, question from Tina. So Tina, I've habituated to tinnitus for 9 years until COVID in Feb 2023. Yale University just published research stating that tinnitus is a known symptom of COVID-19 from inflammation causing damage to the cochlear nerve. This tinnitus appears different from the before. Can CBT help with this too? Yes. So CBT will help with this type of tinnitus, Tina. CBT, as I said before, CBT doesn't discriminate. So CBT would help with any type of tinnitus. It doesn't matter what the cause is. It doesn't matter how it affects you. It doesn't matter the sound you hear. CBT is effective. And the reason it's effective is because the reason that tinnitus is uncomfortable is because of the automatic reaction that your brain has. Okay. Now, CBT works to change that automatic reaction. And the automatic reaction will be the same regardless of what the type is. So yes, CBT would be effective, Tina. I would definitely recommend giving it a go. Question here from Kyle. How long does it take for CBT to work? Great question. You'll start to feel better. Okay, so there's a few variables here. If you practice regularly, you practice every day, you'll start to feel better in weeks. You'll start to notice the difference. If you want to get to the point where those three things have happened, you've fully tuned out the tinnitus, you're no longer aware of it, that normally takes around 3 months, but it's a gradual process. And you will start to feel better after a few weeks. You'll notice the difference. You'll start to notice your tinnitus less after a few weeks. You'll have days where you're not aware of your tinnitus. And what will happen is the frequency of those days will increase. So, it's not kind of like a sudden switch. Things will gradually start to change and you'll notice that difference after a couple of weeks. Okay. So question, is there any value in hearing aids? The answer to that is potentially, it depends. Hearing aids are an effective treatment for tinnitus if you have some degree of hearing loss. So if you've had a hearing test and that showed that you've got hearing loss, then a hearing aid would be effective. If you haven't had a hearing test, go and see an audiologist, get a hearing test. If you have and you're not sure, then go back and speak to your audiologist. Okay, question from Derek. How long is the offer open for? It's the 7-day free trial you'll be able to access through the Otos app. But the link that I've sent will be accessible for the next 24 hours. So another question from Derek. Do you have a link for the best white noise machine for my bedroom? Look, you can use an Amazon Alexa. It's Black Friday at the moment. You can get them for 20, 30 pounds, $40. You can just get one of the small ones and you can tell it, I'm not going to say it now because it's going to trigger mine. But you can say, play white noise, play whatever sound you want to hear. So before I go to sleep, I play rain sounds and you can say play for 30 minutes. And you don't have to worry about, pressing any buttons or anything. You can just, it's voice activated. So that's what I'd recommend there. Question from Bob, is this course much different to the normal Otos app course? No, so if you're on the normal Otos app course, we've updated a few things. So this is different. 1, it's more personalized. So it's more suited to your tinnitus. 2, you get access to the specialist consultation. So you're getting access from advice from one of the best tinnitus specialist audiologists in the UK, someone that has tinnitus themselves and has a unique understanding of what you're going through. 3, you get the chat coaching. So that's how you're going to get the quick results. We'll tell you what to focus on. And that's how it's different. So if you wanted to get a quick result with a bit more guidance, then this would be appropriate, and that's how it's different. Question from Dave, is it worth completing the course before going for hearing aids? Would it not matter? Good question. Look, I mean, I don't see any harm in speaking to an audiologist now. A really good approach would be a hearing aid and CBT if you have hearing loss. So I'd speak to an audiologist about that, but concurrently do the course. The sooner you get started working through this stuff, working through these exercises and integrating these skills and techniques into your life, the faster you're going to start feeling better. The faster your tinnitus is going to start tuned out. Okay, great. We are done on the questions. Okay, another one from Peter. If you have questions, guys, we've got a few more minutes, so do get your questions in. So Peter, I have high frequency hearing loss. My audiologist has provided hearing aids for me to test. I've been trialing them for 3 weeks, but they've not helped. How long should I continue? Peter, look, that's something I would speak to your audiologist about, and they'll have more expertise in this than I would. I'm audiologist, the best person to speak to about very specific hearing aid questions. So I would definitely speak to your audiologist. I wouldn't want to give you the wrong advice, basically. Egbert, who helps making the personalized plan? So the personalized plan will be put together based on your the results of your tinnitus assessment, which we do when you first sign up to the app. So you'll go through you'll go through when you first sign up to the app and answer, I think there's 25 questions, excuse me, about how your tinnitus impacts your life and about your tinnitus itself. And we use the answers to those to make the plan, and that's automated. Will this recording be posted anywhere? Yes, so we will this will be accessible through the Oto app, and our on-demand webinars are available if you sign up to the 90-day program. So even if you just wanted to give it a try, you can sign up for the first 7 days for free. I'll put a link in the chat now. Just head over to the Oto app and then tap on the events tab. And then at the top of the events, it says recordings. You just click on the recordings and scroll down. It should be posted on there either tomorrow or Monday. Good. We have got through the questions. Does anyone else have any more questions? Good. So thank you everyone for joining. I've really enjoyed telling you all about our 90-day program. If anyone has any further questions, please do get in touch. And if you want to give the program a try, the link's in the chat, or you can access directly through the Oto app. But otherwise, thank you very much for joining, everyone. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to seeing you all soon.